even. Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep.
In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Here comes Foster. The Reds win the pennant.
Larkins won the game.
That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none.
Welcome Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again.
Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive, hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club.
Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb.
Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again.
The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the Laurel Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? Did he? He did. He did. Reds win. Reds win. Liner to right field. Genius, the first Red ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air down the right field line. Doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first and Homer Bailey for the second time in his major league career has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win it. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
All right, Nick. This is what you call believing territory. We're getting closer if we're not already there. I got to tell you, it is a long, far stretch that we've been on here from those 3 straight games of 1-0, 1-0, and 1-0, all losses. Reds got off to what was a tough start, if we're going to be honest, Nick, on this road series, and they were able to kind of rebound with a big win in Miami, and I think that kind of propelled them to get some momentum to find themselves in a spot where they went and did something that not a lot of teams can do, Nick. I got to be honest. It is tough to go into Colorado and play the Rockies in Colorado. We've been saying this for a long, long time, and they were able to go get a sweep. And I don't want to downplay it by any stretch of the imagination, but I must admit, if you gave me the option, Nick, to play the Rockies all year long in Coors Field or play the regular MLB schedule, I think I'm still going to lean playing the Rockies. I don't know if you believe that anymore or not, but I sure know that shout out to Elliott Rearing, but I hope he's changed that take.
Not going to give that one up, are you?
No, I'm never going to give that up. For the history of this show, every time the Reds go and play the Rockies on the road and they have some success, I will make a little bit of a jab at that statement because it was asinine and it still is asinine. But thankfully, on a Sunday night, we're talking about a Reds sweep, Nick.
There will be a year in the next 5 years that statement will not be true. Right now, it looks pretty silly, but the Rockies will have a year where they're good and they're going to be dominant at Coors Field. So I don't think that statement was as over the top, given the timing. That's maybe where it lost me a little bit.
Fair enough. All right. For those that don't know, it's a little bit of an inside joke, but you know what? Inside joke is in like an OG joke of the show. Won't go down the rabbit hole of explaining it all because it's not really worth explaining. All right, Nick. We have a box score recap, obviously, to get to, but overall, you can't ask for more. I know that, it shouldn't matter how it looks, whether you win or you lose, but it does feel a lot better in which the manner that they won as well. That you can play a sloppy game against the Rockies and possibly win, and you're still saying, hey, a win's a win. We'll take an ugly win over a pretty loss any day. These were pretty wins, Nick. Like, these were pretty wins. I'm sure we'll get into Lodolo, and I know it's like there are times when you do this show, Nick, that you're trying to find something to kind of latch onto, to have a discussion about, to feel good about, because maybe you've gone through a tough stretch of baseball and you're trying to give the fans some hope. Pick your poison on this show. I don't know where you want to go, but there's a lot of bright spots.
Yeah, I was just like, how many guys do I keep putting on the rundown here? Because you got to keep going on forever. But, all right, let's do a box score recap. I think I'm ready to roll here.
It's presented by you.
All right, Cincinnati Reds looking for a sweep against the Colorado Rockies on Sunday afternoon. Nick Lodolo against Bradley Blakelock, the Rockies starting pitcher who got called up right before the game because their scheduled starter, Ryan Feltner, had to be scratched. Reds got off to a good start against Blakelock. Steer singled with one out. Then Elly De La Cruz singled, extending Elly's hit streak to a career-best 11 games. Blakelock then threw a wild pitch, and both runners moved up, which would prove to be important because Austin Hayes grounded out on what would have likely been an inning double play, but instead the Reds took a 1-0 lead. Then Gavin Lux doubled with 2 outs, making it 2-0 Reds. Gavin Lux also extended his streak to 11 games, which is also his career high. Noelvi Marte followed Lux with an RBI single, made it 3-0. Then that was the only run scored in the game until the 5th inning, when the Reds added 4 more on a sac fly RBI from Elly De La Cruz, an RBI single from Austin Hayes, and an RBI double from Noelvi Marte. 7-0 Cincinnati, and that was more than enough for Nick Lodolo. He took a no-hitter into the 6th inning, when finally with 2 outs, the Rockies got an infield single. Nick Lodolo's final line, 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts in his first ever start at Coors Field. The other hit that he gave up was a little dribbler down the third base line, so both hits infield singles against Lodolo. The Rockies got a run back in the 8th off Lyon Richardson, but the Reds got that run right back on another RBI hit from Noelvi Marte in the top of the 9th. Brent Suter threw a perfect bottom of the 9th. Reds win 8-1. Reds sweep the Rockies. Reds have won 4 in a row, are now a season best, 2 games over 500. Reds are now 12-1 in their last 13 games against the Colorado Rockies.
All right, we got a deep drive of the day. Tyler Stevenson. Now, usually I make fun of the fact that we got out, we got to kind of take a dig down to the lower levels to find our deep drive of the day. But Tyler Stevenson is on his way back, and we got some discussions probably to be had on the back half of this rundown, exactly what that looks like. But nonetheless, hit his first home run during his rehab assignment in AAA Louisville, 106 off the bat, 393 feet. And, the funny thing is we don't do the percentages for the Louisville bats. So whether they won or lost, you'll have to stick around to the end of the show to figure that out, because if you think I know, I don't. But I do know this. DSC, they are a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. And thank you to John and his team. All right. Where to start? I guess before we kind of get into the individual stuff, Nick, I just want to say on the front end, you had a guy that's making a spot start for the Rockies. I thought that kind of getting off to at least a little bit of an offensive start of some kind would be big in any capacity. Even if it was one run over one run in the first 2 innings would feel good. Jumping ahead always feels great in the top of the first inning, but the 2-out hits, Nick, that's what makes this offense feel a little bit different than it was earlier this season. It just felt like there was no one that could step up and get a big hit outside of 2 or 3 guys, and more times than not, those guys weren't coming up with the big situations because those were the guys that were setting the table for others to ultimately let us down. Those were 2 big hits. I would even say having Hayes put the ball in play and just get a run there instead of swinging and missing and finding a way to strike out with the guys at second and third with less than 2 outs, which has happened in this series and it's happened this year. It was a breath of fresh air. You add on the fact that, Lux gets a big hit and Welve gets a big hit with 2 outs and you get a 3-0 lead. I felt like that probably is going to get overlooked when you look back at the score line of 8-1, but I thought, I guess more or less, that felt like a different offense than what we've seen so far this year.
Yeah, that's why I tried to include it in the box score recap, because I did feel like that was a pretty important inning that probably got, forgotten about. How many times you see a young pitcher, and this guy is a Rockies top 30 prospect. I mean, he's a fringe top 30 prospect, but he's not just, with all due respect, Randy Wynn.
Right.
You throw him. There's someone they have a little bit of hope in.
Yeah.
And so to get a run off him early was pretty important. The Reds caught some breaks. Some of the things that just haven't been going the Reds' way, they've started to get some breaks. I mean, that wild pitch. Wasn't for that wild pitch, the Reds probably don't score in the first inning, and who knows where this game ends up. It's a combination of the Reds doing a lot of good things, the Reds catching some breaks. I know, like, one of the common themes is going to be, that you're supposed to sweep the Rockies. I think that is the I'm trying to be nice. I think that's ridiculous that you should sweep the Rockies. Vegas does not agree with you.
No.
Because if you would have they don't do a parlays, but if you had tried to parlay the Reds to win Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, that's plus 361. Like, you're not supposed to sweep the Rockies. You're supposed to take 2 of 3. The Rockies are still projected by Fangraphs to win 56 games this year. They're still going to win 50 more games. The Reds, when they started 3-22, they went 14-13 in May. Like, eventually, major league teams start winning some games. And thankfully, the Reds did see the Rockies at the right time, but they capitalized on it. And you never can expect a sweep against anyone.
I 100% agree. Expecting a sweep is crazy talk. It's like Major League Baseball, at this point, if you've watched it long enough, you know that going into any game, it's not a guarantee. So the expectation that you got 3 guaranteed games in a row, I maybe I'm the opposite of the folks that look at a 4-20 record and get excited. I kind of do the opposite. Like, I see the Rockies are 4-20. They're 4-20, and we're going in to Colorado, and I get that people are going to laugh at what I'm saying. Like, if you would have said, hey, the Reds are going to win 2 or 3, I would have signed off on that as fast as I possibly could have. You would have never been able to convince me otherwise that, hey, we're either going to play this series out and see how it goes, or you can take 2 or 3, your choice. I'm signing up for 2 or 3 all day long. The sweep is a bigger deal when you look at the overall road trip, Nick, just because of you kind of scuffled a little bit in Miami. The sweep makes up for that. I think going into this, you felt like, hey, if they go, 4-2, you feel really good about it. Well, they went 4-2. And the first 2 nights in Miami, you would have, probably not been able to convince anybody that it was going to be a good road trip, but it turned out to be a good road trip. And, I get that the Rockies aren't good, Nick, but I think what you said is about as well as you can say it. The idea that you're supposed to sweep anybody is nonsense. I hope that everyone can understand and agree with that.
I will bet anyone who wants to take it. I need to see how many games they have. I will bet anyone that the Rockies beat the Dodgers at least twice the rest of the year. Like, they'll win 2 games against the Dodgers. Trace, this actually, I totally understand why you forgot about this, but the road trip didn't start in Miami. The road trip actually started in Baltimore.
Oh, it
so
did.
The Reds actually went. Yeah, the Reds went 6-3. It felt like two different
that day
things.
off. Yeah.
Well, and because Baltimore is a good team, and then you had this
you have the
pod
stretch
of
bad
teams.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, they technically went 6-3 on this road trip.
Right.
So when you add the Baltimore, the toughest team that you played into it, it really makes the road trip look quite a bit better, and also I think excuses a little bit more losing 2 out of 3 to Miami.
That's so wild to think back on the fact that they were in Baltimore. I mean, I watched the games, but it's just like that felt like ages ago at this point.
It does. Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, man, sometimes I do think that my brain's just going mush as I get older here. I'm a little worried about what it looks like as I age in the next 10 years. But the fact that you just brought up that Baltimore was literally this road trip, it put my mind through a pretzel. All right, we'll jump into it. Nick Lodolo couldn't have thrown the ball any better outside of the fact that I guess someone's going to be trying to be funny and say that he could have thrown a no-hitter. I'm sure that there's going to be some discourse in the chat about whether or not, there was a certain play that was made, whether it was an error or not an error. I don't care. I got to admit, I just don't care enough about that to even get into it. But it was nice to see Nick Lodolo striking guys out as well. I mean, that's the one thing that we were hoping that he would continue to find a way to do is get some swing and miss. Move the ball around the zone, got swing and miss, and ultimately had he did a really good job, or the Rockies that helped him out a little bit on even managing a pitch count with strikeouts as well.
I mean, this is the first career start at Coors Field. I was very nervous about Nick Lodolo today. I mean, I was when I saw that the Rockies starter got scratched. A guy that's like not good, but he's like an okay Rockies starter that's like almost a veteran at Coors Field, kind of guy. That made me feel a little better. I would have thought this was going to be a high scoring game. And I love Lodolo, but it's just your first start at Coors Field. I think Hunter Green's first start at Coors Field, he gave up like 4 home runs. He got absolutely shelled. So yeah, I mean, it's not just like your breaking pitches don't break, but you also have to like pitch in the altitude, and you tire easier and all those kind of things. And let's also not forget, Nick Lodolo was just on the paternity list last weekend, so he's still trying to get back into the swing of baseball. On top of this is only his second start back, so I thought Lodolo was just incredible. I'm surprised how well his breaking pitches played, and I know in the post game, Trevino, Lux, and Tito all mentioned how great his fastball command was. So I'm guessing the guys that were out on the field, that was what they really saw, was just how well he was able to command his fastball and throw it in exactly the spots that he wanted to. But I mean, this was as good of a start as Lodolo will ever have. And again, the Rockies can be what they are. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're facing the Louisville Bats and you're playing at Coors Field. You're gonna have a hard time pitching well and pitching deep into a game.
100% agree. And I also think that we're finding ourselves now, maybe the most exciting thing with Lodolo and knock on wood here, but we're April 27th and we've not really run into anything that seems overly concerning at this point. And I know that again can change in a heartbeat. So I'm not trying to put that mojo out there and say that we're in the clear, but this is a guy that's always kind of had something flare up, Nick. And it's just like, well, you're going to miss a start one time because of blisters, and the next thing you know, you got a little bit of fatigue in this area and whatever else kind of has obviously plagued Lodolo. I just think that is by far the most important thing that's going to happen this season is what do these starting pitchers look like from a health perspective as we progress. I think it's safe to say, Nick, that they're going to run into some tough outings like every other pitcher in the world would throughout the season. But if these guys are capable of staying healthy, I think it's safe to say that they're going to keep us in plenty of baseball games throughout the year to make this a relatively competitive season. Now, things can change. Guys can get banged up, and certainly injuries matter more than probably any fan or fandom would like to tell you in professional sports. Being healthy is a big deal. And for the most part, this team has done a good job of being available on the field. and hopefully that will stay. Reds fan Brandon chimes in on Twitter, says 7 innings pitched, 0 runs, 1 or fewer walks, and 9+ strikeouts by a visiting starter pitcher at Coors Field. That would be Nick Lodolo today, Luis Castillo in 420 of 24, Zach Gallen 821 of 21, Cole Hamel 612 of 19, and Pedro Martinez. Pretty good company, 729 of 97. So, yeah, pretty good company. Yeah, I guess you don't really realize how good of an outing it was until you stack it up against that.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. Shout out Reds fan Brandon.
Yep.
Looking that up, always has some good nuggets over on Twitter. But yeah, that's just, Coors Field, I think they opened in 94, maybe 95.
95, I believe.
90. Yeah, I think they played 2 years at the football stadium the first 2 years. Yeah, only 5 pitchers have ever done that, and all the other 4 are all really, really good pitchers.
Right. Yeah, there's not really anybody on there that you would be like, oh, that's an outlier type situation. Yeah. Those are a lot of really good pitchers. Speaking of the offense, as we jump into this, I was thinking kind of today, how do you survive as a small franchise or a small market franchise when you invest so heavily in something that doesn't work at all? Candelario has been a huge topic of conversation, Nick, for obvious reasons. You have the investment on a 2-year basis, and it's a significant amount of money for an organization like this. When I say significant, I mean it's I'm not saying it's going to completely kill them if it doesn't work out, but it's definitely a splash. The way that it doesn't hurt you or you can survive it, quite frankly, is a guy like Noelvi Marte replacing something that you didn't think you had, and or Austin Hayes coming in and replacing something that you didn't think you were going to have. Noelvi Marte and Austin Hayes, which I'm sure he's going to maybe on the back half of the rundown. If he's not, that's fine. We can talk about it here. They have transformed the outlook on this offense because, to my knowledge, as I watch these games, I really don't think this offense has changed dramatically in the sense that all of the guys that were here at the beginning of the year are just overly doing something different. Some of these guys that have struggled since the beginning are still struggling. I think Steer is starting to maybe break out of something. He's looking a little bit better. But, again, it's not like anything has changed dramatically outside of Noelvi, and Austin Hayes. And they have made it to where it seems like, Nick, this offense has a chance to be in that 15 through 17, 18 type WRC plus offense at the end of the season.
Well, yeah, you look at the lineup today, and let's take Candelario out of it and replace him with Matt McClain. You go 1 through 9, you feel pretty good about every single one of them. Now, Spencer Steer's numbers don't look great still. Jose Trevino's do. I bet that those kind of flip in some regard over the course of the year. But yeah, it's a deeper lineup, and early in the year there was just black holes. You'd have 2 or 3 guys, and then it was just black hole. And some of these guys are the same guys that were there, but you add Hayes into the mix. You add obviously Marte into the mix. You add, I think people are starting to believe in Lux now that didn't believe in Lux earlier in the year. And Gavin Lux is the perfect example of why I'm confident in Matt McClain, because Gavin Lux, the process was there with him early in the year, but he wasn't getting the results. And now he's getting every result that he possibly can. So yeah, it's a much longer lineup. I think this lineup still going to be, I don't feel like inconsistent is the right word, but that's what it is. It's going to be, they're going to be inconsistent. There's going to be games where you're going to be like, oh my gosh, how did it look so bad tonight? Well, just kind of the nature of it. You don't have a bunch of superstars, but I think you have a lineup that's going to keep you in a lot of games, and you pair that with the pitching staff, and that's why this team has a chance.
We definitely have a chance. And Noelvi, I'm just so thankful that he got off to a good start, because it's almost like the same things that happen in your own life at times, and you try to kind of connect the dots on how you got to where you're at. At any point where you get somewhere where you feel like it's special, or you're so thankful, or you're grateful, you're appreciative, when you look back on all of it, there's like these small moments where you didn't realize at the time that you needed something to kind of go your way, or you get your big break, or you kind of maybe performed really well in an opportunity that maybe wasn't provided a whole lot, and that kind of catapulted you somewhere where you feel like, man, I'm super appreciative that this happened. This show, if we're being honest, right? This show, without the 12-game win streak, as stupid as that sounds, I'm not sure where we're at. You know, I'm genuinely not. I look back at maybe just this small little opportunity that Noelvi's been given, and it's like, I really hope this is the start of a 6-year run for the Reds that really genuinely gives this franchise a chance to win big. Because as we've said before, probably 4 weeks ago, before he even came up to the big leagues, and a lot of people were down on this guy, the message was still the same here, which is, hey, you got 6 years of service time. If you think to yourself that Noelvi Marte isn't going to be one of the reasons as to why that this team could end up being a World Series legitimate contender, he has to be at least part of the mix. It seems like that is one of the few things that has to happen. And if it's not him, it was going to have to be someone else. I think we kind of gave it an out by saying, hey, if it's not Noelvi, then it has to be CES. But you can't have guys every single year not living up to the standard and expect it to be just Elly or Matt McLain to get you over the proverbial hump. I really hope that this is it, because he wasn't going to be given a long leash, Nick. He was not going to be given a long leash. And he came up, he hit the ball well, he found a way to get on base a few times. It seemed like he became a little more free, smiling again. I don't know if people look into body languages, Nick, but do you remember what he looked like at times last year? What he looked like in spring training? Like he looked like a wounded pup, you know? Like he just knew that he had messed up, and he knew that he was not playing to his standard, and that can beat you down, and some guys can never recover from that. And I'm not saying that he's 100% back and you can mark it in the books that he's going to be the everyday guy for here on out moving forward. But I'll tell you this, and this might sound harsh to say, but I get so much more excitement out of the fact that these younger guys playing well than I ever do if there's a guy like Nick Martini, who came in here obviously last year and a year before playing extremely well, or a guy like even Trevino, now that they extended him, that's great. But, you know, Wynn's playing exceptionally well. Although I stick up for him, I understand the concept of what that means. I hope people kind of feel the same way, because we need these guys. And I don't mean to be too blunt about it, but that's been the biggest breath of fresh air that we've had in quite some time, is Noelvi looking like himself again.
Yeah, Marte's been nothing but a roller coaster since the Reds called him up. Has looked really great at times. Then last year was completely lost, like you mentioned. And I think he's still going to probably be a roller coaster over the next couple years. Like, I don't think it's going to be smooth sailing by any stretch of the imagination. But there were some wild takes about Noelvi Marte this offseason. And I'm just glad that he's now going to be given almost as close as you could possibly get to a clean slate. Like, it's not a completely clean slate because he did steroids, obviously, but he's almost got a clean slate. Like, okay, well, everything that happened. Now we believe that you at least have a chance to be a good baseball player. Let's see if you can prove that you're a big leaguer. It feels like he now has that chance, because he didn't have that chance 2 weeks ago. It was, you better perform right now, or else you're a bum and you're going back to AAA. Now it feels like he has at least a little bit of a runway, and now he has a real opportunity to prove that he is a big leaguer. And it doesn't have to be this whole everyday, well, then what did Noelvi Marte do today? What's his numbers over the last 6 games? He doesn't have to really look over his shoulder, at least for quite a while.
All right, we got some people that are looking over their shoulder right now that we're going to get to on the back half, whether they're on there or not. I think it's a reason of topic of conversation. You're going to have to stick around in just a second to find out what that is. But before we do that, we have some super chats. We have game time, and we obviously have 988. I'm going to get to the super chats here first because we've had some people patiently waiting. My apologies. Usually I get to these on the very front end of the show. That did not happen. But better late than never, as they say. Never late is better, as someone else would say. Galeb Oder 99.1%, I think. Bear with me. Cheers. Reds currently hold a playoff spot. I love that. I love that we're looking at the playoff spots.
Hell yeah, brother.
No problem. April 27th, we're in there. Jacob Doyle says, happy sweep, 12-6. Last 18 is no joke. Nope, it's not. A realtor named House says the Seabox party in Chicago. People are already fired up. They're thinking about the playoffs. I don't blame us. Why not? Why not? When it's been a while, why not? RD711 said, and this sweep belongs to who? It belongs to the Reds. That's who. Jeremy Ward says, how about Candy today? Oh, poor Candy. That guy, he can't catch a break, can he? How about Candy today? He was so fire today. He was what he was.
Reds have won 4 in a row, just swept the Rockies.
Yep.
We're season high 2 games over 500. Let's put all of our energy and focus into the one guy that's struggling, the one contract that's not working out. Let's forget about Austin Hayes, the $5 million contract that's looking like he's an all-star. Let's forget about him. Let's forget about Gavin Lux, the trade that they didn't give up a whole lot for. Focus all of our energy on Candelario.
That's right. The Candyman. Because if he can't do it, everyone else can. Carlton Van Hoy says, Abbott should get credit for pitching in that slop. His length kept the bullpen from being blown up. Probably only pitcher we have that could win in that weather. I won't go that far. And we got some pretty good arms in that bullpen. I mean, I will say Andrew Abbott does look like a guy's guy. He does look like a guy that's going to go out. If you need a guy to base some hail for you, Andrew Abbott might be the first guy out of the staff that we're deciding to go and do that for us. He just looks like he is not a stranger to some hard work. Having said that, I'm not going to say he's the only guy that could have gone out there and done it, but I do get the sentiment. I do get the point, and we'll give Andrew Abbott some credit on a day like today, even though it's been a few days since he's thrown.
The pitching overall, I mean, the Reds don't have an off day till May 12th. So the fact that they didn't, use any high leverage arms today, Santillan did get warming for a minute, but right. And then obviously, like you mentioned, Abbott going deep, yeah, that was huge as well. Yeah, I mean, it's good to be set up because you're going to go through a really testing stretch coming up. You have some teams that are all pretty winnable games on your schedule coming up, but when you play anyone and you have a beat up bullpen, it's not easy.
It is not easy. I also said, for those that are very patient, I also said that I would take care of something if we found a way to win a series. Well, we didn't just win a series; we swept a series. So you're gonna have to bear with me. This is probably gonna take a little bit of time, but I am a man of my word. So this is for all of the folks that hold me to that. Oh, man. Tastes great. Tastes really great.
The Powerade chaser, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I have to have something. I use Powerade all the time. I definitely use it after every Candelario at bat. Here's another one. Man, I don't know if I'm ready for this one. Oh, that was tough. Oh, man. That's not good. That's not good. That's really not good. I don't know if you can see my eyes are absolutely blistered watering right now, but here we go. Game time. Just what they want. They want a guy repping them right after some rips. You know what I'm talking about? The Game Time app, there's no better place to turn when you need tickets. And when I say there's no better place to turn, you can trust me because I've turned everywhere before. The Game Time app. I need to focus, Nick. Stop laughing in my screen, please, okay? If you need to leave the room while I'm trying to do an ad read, you please leave the room. Stop laughing, okay? I'm trying to cover your face up while I'm doing this, and you're just crying laughing. I can't do that. The Game Time app is the official ticketing partner of Chatterbox Reds. Please download the Game Time app today, and if you are a first-time user, you can use the promo code CBOX. That's CBOX. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. I love the Game Time app for its simplicity. 2 clicks, you can get in, you can get out, all-in pricing, no surprises at the checkout, and the best part about it all is that you can wait till the very last minute. You can score on some deals with the Game Time app, a la Game Time. Wait until Game Time if you need to. Please use the code CBOX. That's CBOX. You can get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, and it is the official ticketing partner of Chatterbox Reds. All right, 988. Please text and or call. Let your friends know if they're ever in need or a crisis. It's okay to not be okay. It's an anonymous hotline at any point, day or night. 988 is a valuable resource. Mantherapy.org as well, in case you're just kind of wanting to read about some things that may be bothering you. It's a good place to start if you're starting to feel like something's not right. Lux, Elly, Hayes. You can't even fit them all on one little deal there. You're trying to the best you can. I guess this is where, if you've watched the Reds on a nightly basis, or I guess a daily basis, whichever term you'd like to use, you could kind of feel like this was coming in a way for Lux. I thought for a while Gavin Lux was having really good at-bats, and there were times it just wasn't working out. And I also felt like he was kind of getting the short end of the stick a little bit with some lefty on lefty matchups from time to time that kind of also hurt him in regards to his box scores and what they look like. But it's nice to see Gavin Lux kind of turn the corner. And when I turn the corner, I don't mean he's playing a whole lot better. He's just getting some results. And more importantly, anytime you switch teams, Nick, I feel like you're going to want to try to prove yourself to the new fan base, to the front office, to the new manager. And Gavin Lux looks like one of the guys on this team that can really propel us moving forward, and we can rely on to have professional major league at-bats.
Yeah, Gavin Lux is a good player. I kind of like where he's hitting, 5th in the lineup. I think that's a pretty good spot for him. I really do like Elly, Hayes, Lux. I feel like that's kind of a tough matchup for pitchers because obviously Elly's the guy who's going to destroy right-handed pitching. Hayes is the guy that's going to destroy left-handed pitching, and then you have Gavin Lux, the guy that can hit right-handed pitching. So I think it does make it pretty tough for opposing managers to face them back to back to back. I'd like just them maybe slide up a little bit, but nonetheless, I do like that structure of the lineup for sure. But yeah, I mean, Lux is a good player. I mean, and the further he goes along hitting like this, the more I think people could really believe that second half Gavin Lux that we talked about, we hoped was the real deal last offseason, is in fact the real deal. And so far, I've seen nothing to think otherwise. And Lux hasn't hit home runs either yet. And the fact that he's producing this well without hitting any home runs, when you play in Great American Ballpark and you get into the summer, he has the kind of swing that I think he's going to find a few home runs. He's almost kind of got a little Scooter Gennett in him.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I
think he's a better defensive player.
Well, I think he's a better player, but yeah, I get what you're saying though. I mean, there's a chance that Lux can get hot over the course of a week and a half and probably dramatically change those power numbers if I had to suspect. That's going to happen at some point, hopefully at Great American Ballpark, because they've not really, like you've said before, I don't think they really haven't got a chance to play in what I would consider great weather at Great American yet. I mean, you play at the end of March, middle of April, you're just not going to get, and they've been fortunate. They've not had horrific weather by any stretch of the imagination, but they've not had 85 degrees, 90-degree days at Great American Ballpark that the ball is just going to fly out. So, time will tell. Lux is a good asset. I believe in him. And I also believe in, obviously, Elly. Elly's sneaky. What's the right word here? Just been sneaky good. I guess that's the term I'm going to use. I don't.
Quietest 11-game hit streak you've ever seen.
He's like, no one brings him up. Even the other day, I think he had the day that everyone wanted to criticize him, he got on base like 3 or 4 times. And I get his fielding it's a lightning rod. I mean, anytime he's going to make an error, it's going to be a topic of conversation until he ends up becoming an exceptionally good defender. Which kind of stinks because I do think he's already a good defender. One thing I will admit today, you've already warned me of this, but I used AI to try to figure out if something was true or not, and it obviously lied to me. So then I got in trouble by the analytics community. So I apologize to them for questioning the statistics that arise out of StatCast. That's my one and only apology to the analytics community. I probably will never even go down that path again because it's just like I'm not even getting down I'm going to stay in my lane. But I will admit there are times where I have to go to the analytics to try to prove my point with Elly and his defensive metrics. I'm like, well, just look right here. The StatCast says he's good. It's not just me saying it. I think Elly is, as crazy as this sounds, somehow in this town underappreciated. People are going to kill me for saying that, but I kind of believe it. I really do. I just think he's a fascinating player in this town, put it that way. It's just crazy to me that people don't love Elly. But here we are.
We prayed for an Elly De La Cruz. Yeah. We begged to have an Elly De La Cruz. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to turn the show into being like an Elly thing. Elly has played well. I'll leave it at that. And I know he made an error to some people's eyes today that caused the no-hitter to go awry. But as I've said before, I don't know. I mean, was it a play that could have been made? Yeah. Was it a play that I'm going to be up in arms about and make a big deal about, Nick? No. I'd also, again, I'm going to get crushed again for saying this, and I know people are going to say, like, this is how ridiculous. I'm just going to openly say if Spencer Steer's not playing first base, we might not even be talking about it because it's I don't know, first baseman's taller than 5'11", probably.
CES makes that play.
Yeah, well, I mean, CS is just a little bit taller, I think. Don't kill me if I'm wrong on that, but anyway, I'm out. I'm done talking about Elly's defensive stuff. He's playing great. I'm proud of him. I hope he continues to play well.
Yeah. Co-signed.
Okay. Austin Hayes. Well, I already talked about Austin Hayes on the front end. Like, I don't know what else to say about this guy. He's making up for Candelario. Candelario is a segue piece here in a minute. He's making up for him. God's honest truth.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you sign these level of contracts, and Candelario was like the slightly below mid-tier contract, I guess. I don't think it was like a full mid-tier contract. When you sign these kind of contracts, it's a crapshoot. Like, sometimes you hit, sometimes you don't. And it's kind of funny. Like, I was talking about this yesterday with Alex. Shout out Alex, did a great job yesterday. We were kind of discussing, I mean, Jeimer Candelario, when the Reds signed him, he was coming off his age 29 season, which is where Austin Hayes is right now. And Jeimer Candelario had a 129 OPS plus that year. Now, Austin Hayes is a lot better than that right now, but I don't think I would bet that Hayes has over a 129 OPS plus. So it's kind of interesting how, different players get viewed. And that's why I caution a lot of people who are, well, extend to Austin Hayes right now, extend right now. Well, okay. There's a price to pay. There's a massive risk to pay. So, yeah, I mean, look, if you sign Austin Hayes, you trade for Gavin Lux, and you sign Jeimer Candelario, and you hit 2 out of 3 of those, that's really good. That's really good. You can't expect more than that.
I agree. I mean, it's always going to be tough when you're in charge of putting a roster together when you don't have resources to kind of just bail yourself out at times. And it feels like Austin Hayes might bail us out of what could be an awful, awful, awful contract in Candelario. And I guess openly I'm just going to admit that in my eyes, I will cancel those out. I understand why other people wouldn't cancel it out, because they could say, well, that's not how it works. You still made a really, really bad deal. If you would have made the good deal and found another good deal, it would have changed the outlook of this baseball team dramatically. But I'm also saying, like, we're asking somebody to be perfect, when in reality it's just not a reality. It does stink as a fan of this franchise that we've missed the last 2 times on the third base piece, if you want to call it that. I guess Moustakas wasn't that long ago. Candelario now seems like we've missed on him. As we transition to him, I obviously was somebody that was right here in this very spot screaming and yelling about how I never want to see the guy again. He's terrible, blah, 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 whatever I said. I think, Nick, I have something for us here. I want you to think about this, and I know that it's risky. It's a risky play. I think we give Candelario a week straight in the lineup. Here's where I'm at. This roster crunch is going to happen at some point. Stevenson's going to come back here in the relatively near future. As I've said before, and I know it sounds crazy to say now, I get that you can kind of send some other guys down in replacement and kind of make sure that you don't have to cut anybody because of options. But I'm at the point where it seems like Tito believes in meritocracy as well. Tito seems to kind of make sure, if you want to call it that he's going to give people opportunities to continue to do something if they're doing something well. Now, Espinal is a little bit of an outlier there. But Candelario is going to have to either figure it out this week or he just gets let go. I'm not ready. I personally am not ready just to cut Candelario. Okay? Spencer Steer has looked awfully bad, but he's kind of what seems like over the last few games to start to look a little bit more like the Spencer Steer of old. I think we can all admit that Candelario is not an 090 hitter or whatever he's hitting right now, 070 hitter with a 114 OPS, or not OPS, but on base percentage. I don't know how good Candelario is. He looks terrible. But I ultimately just want to see it for good and be done with it than to sit here and go a month long and he sits for 3 or 4 games, gets 1 game at bats, maybe gets a hit, maybe doesn't, and then sits for another 2 to 3 games. Because I don't think that he offers me anything, Nick, that should deserve a roster spot if he doesn't hit the way that he needs to hit. He doesn't play a position well. He doesn't run well. And some people might say, Nick, that doesn't matter. It matters. In the grand scheme, over the course of 162, that matters a lot. Espinal being able to play multiple positions matters a lot. Spencer Steer, at some point, when he's healthy enough, he can play multiple positions. That matters. Blake Dunn being able to come in and pinch run in the 8th inning or be a defensive replacement in the outfield matters a lot. Austin Wynns deserves to stay on this team. I don't know how else to say it. If Tyler Stevenson's ready to come back in 5 days, I don't want to let Austin Wynns go just because we're trying to save somebody that's hitting 102 and we've given him, two games to have at bats in the last 2 weeks? I don't want to find ourselves in that spot. So I'm openly saying, Nick, people can kill me for doing this, but I'm giving Candelario 1 solid week. He's going to be in the lineup every day, and if he can't figure it out, and by figuring it out, I'm talking about at least getting himself into an OPS over 650 or 700 for the week. If he doesn't do that, it is what it is. We're done here. Your thoughts?
Felt like this was the weekend to do it. I'm with you. It's hard to see him being able to come out of this just playing once every 4 days. He feels like a guy that does have to have some sort of rhythm to get going. So I don't know. I'm not DFAing him after 90 at bats. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know enough about his contract, Nick, but I guess this is where I kind of get myself in trouble on shows like this. Some other people probably certainly do know this, and if you don't know it off the top of your head, maybe someone will let us know. I don't. You can ask him to go to the minors. He can decline it. I guess my question is, if he declines that, what happens then? Like, is his guaranteed money get cut? I don't know. Do you know?
He's cut, and you pay him every penny he's owed. Like,
even if he doesn't want to go to the minor leagues.
Yeah, he has the right.
That's what's crazy to me.
Yeah, he's been a big leaguer for 5 years. And that's why I've always been like, be very careful about these long-term deals. Like, be thankful they only signed Candelario to 3 years. Be thankful this wasn't a 5-year deal, because it could happen for guys that are on those long. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing. There's no going back. And I mean, wouldn't it just be the Reds for you cut Candelario, the Pittsburgh Pirates go pick him up on a league minimum, and he just goes and crushes it? Don't come cry to me then if that happens. I don't know. I think you have to write it out, but I also I like, you had other options earlier where you could have just given him at bat after at bat after at bat, while you had other guys that weren't performing that did have options to go down AAA, and you didn't really use that. So now you're kind of backing yourself into more of a corner. You're going to face some better pitchers in St. Louis, not great pitchers, but you're going to face better pitching than you just faced in Colorado. So it felt like this was the weekend to kind of give him a chance, but you're also trying to win games. So it's a tough balance. What did you think? I don't know if you heard my Eugenio Suarez kind of comp about how awful he looked in 2021. I mean, this guy was going into August, had an on-base percentage under 300, batting average under 200, was completely awful. And he's had times where he's been completely lost and has come out of it. What do you think about something like that?
I think it's a fair point by you. I think it also like showcases how tough mentally this game is. I think at times, certainly when I go on these rants, I think that there are even sometimes in the comments people are like, "Oh yeah, this guy's never played before." I have. There's an entertainment factor to this show that I try to produce from time to time on some of these guys that are struggling, and I get frustrated obviously watching some of these at bats. My problem with Candelario all along, for the most part, has really just been the way that he's went about trying to get out of this slump. It just seems as if there's never been an approach. He's not ambushing pitches at times, but then he's being, maybe what you would call overly patient at certain times, but then on the very next at bat, he'll swing at 3 sliders at his foot that aren't even close to the zone. It just seems like there's not ever a plan in place to try to start to get yourself in a better environment from a hitting perspective. And I know I have downplayed the hitting coach thing 1,000 times, Nick, and I'll continue to do that. Blake, I don't know what he's saying or what he's doing. I'm not going to put a bunch of stock into it. Candelario has played this game for a long time in the big leagues. He's just better than what he's been, and it feels like it's mental now. It feels like it's 100% mental. And I don't know how you fix that, because Eugenio Suarez, for those that are saying, oh, we should have signed him, blah, blah, blah. Listen, he was getting booed out of it. I remember vividly sitting in the 3rd row right behind the dugout because there was like 6,000 people at a game one time. I walked down, I found the best seats I could, and I was literally sitting there. And I think Eugenio struck out for like the 4th time in a game. He's walking back to the dugout. Everybody's booing the guy. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I was this close to standing up and being like, Eugenio, smile. Like, this is just a game, man. I know that it's your livelihood. I get all that. But it's like, you got to break out of this thing, and you just got to start playing. And I think we've reached that point for Candelario now. Like, this thing has gotten so far down the beaten path, Nick, that he just doesn't think that he can do anything right. And I don't know how you fix that. Besides the guy, he's going to look at himself in the mirror and figure it out himself. Because it happens in all aspects of sports. It's a psychological warfare that you have. And I guess I'm openly saying you could look at it 2 ways, Nick. Like, the money's already been spent, right? So trying to justify the idea of making sure that he plays or he's with the team just because you spent the money kind of feels like you're sitting down at dinner and you're already full, but you got a half a plate of food left. You don't have to eat that half a plate of food to justify the amount of money that you spent for the food. If it did its job and you're there, okay, you can throw it away. It's done. You don't need it anymore. All right? Although, as a society, many of us feel like we have to eat that half a plate of food to justify that we're getting our money's worth. Just because we cut this guy and he goes and plays for someone else this season and he finally figures it out, I'm going to say just the same way I say about trades. It doesn't mean he was going to figure it out here in Cincinnati, because whatever's going on in Cincinnati, he is in a funk. And if he can't get out of that funk relatively soon, I'm openly saying it's going to cost us more than the money we're paying him. It's going to cost us wins. It's going to cost us an opportunity to possibly do something by bringing somebody else up that can get red hot. Because let's face it, Marte was not a guy that we expected to come up here and do exceptionally well this year. There's a chance that happens again for somebody else. And I know Austin Wynns is an easy target of saying, oh, you can kind of get rid of him. Or maybe you can say Blake Dunn can go. Let's use Blake Dunn as an example, Nick. Blake Dunn, he's a guy that has options. Let's just send him back down. Well, what happens if 3 weeks from now, Nick, Blake Dunn has a couple big hits, he pinch runs a couple times, he gets a big steal in a game, he's the reason they win 1 or 2 games. But since we're trying to hold on to Candelario, there's a small chance that you send a guy like Blake Dunn down and you never see the benefit of that. So a lot of hyperbole, a lot of what ifs, but I'm just laying out the foundation that it is. You don't have to just play this guy, and you don't have to keep him just because you already paid him. That's all.
I'm definitely the guy that finishes that plate, but I do agree with what you're saying. I do agree with what you're saying. I mean, if the fact that they still owe him money doesn't really impact me at all in my thinking about it. It's that they have him under control for 2 more years, and is it worth seeing if he can do something? I mean, this was a guy that hit 10 home runs over a 26-game stretch less than a calendar year ago. He was really good up until he got hurt at the end of, I think, June last year. 10 home runs in 26 games. That's why I'm just not just ready to dump the guy, because, I mean, 2 weeks ago, people didn't like 4 hitters in this lineup. Let's not forget how everything looks good right now, but this lineup is not deep enough, I don't think, to just dump Candelario yet. It might get there, but I don't think they're there yet.
I want to add this. I think Sean brings up a good point in the chat too. He says if one is a strong believer in player and team momentum, then it's really hard to justify Candy being the starting lineup this time around, this week per se. I think one thing that I am very passionate about that I will stand on is I don't know how he's felt in the locker room, right? Maybe he's disliked by 3/4 of the clubhouse, and he's just kind of a standoffish guy, and nobody's really in his corner, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If that's the case, and Tito feels that or knows that, and that's part of the reason why he just hasn't been given as many opportunities lately as we thought that he probably would have, despite how bad he's played, then I would openly say, Nick, then don't worry about the weak thing. Just keep it rolling. If he's a guy that's genuinely though, throughout the clubhouse, and people are actually hoping that he does well, and maybe he'll get a big hit and the whole dugout will erupt in excitement just for him as much as it is for the team, then I'm openly saying I am willing to put up with this nonsense that is absolutely no production for another week to see if we need to move on or not, to see if we can get this guy over whatever demons he has that he's fighting inside right now to become a better player. I don't know that answer, and that is something that I'll openly admit. I can be on both sides of the aisle here depending on how the clubhouse feels about him, and I don't know. It's kind of hard. I don't really know how they feel about him, because it's not like it's, I hate to say this, but he's not like he's Will Benson or something where you can kind of openly say, you can kind of just watch the way guys interact with him and know that he's liked. I'm not saying he's disliked, Nick. I'm just openly saying I don't know. I don't see that everyone's just jumping for joy that Candelario is getting opportunities either.
There were a lot of guys that made comments about Candelario and his leadership last year when things were going well. I mean, I haven't heard really a lot of that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of those comments, and when the Reds brought him in, they talked a lot about his character and him being able to mentor the young players. So I don't know how much of that's still true or not. But again,
I get it.
I don't think there's enough good players just to dump guys yet.
All right, jumping into another topic of conversation. We have somebody in the chat that has asked this question over and over and over again. Typically, I don't like to reward things, people that kind of spam the chat, but I guess I'm going to break my own rule here really quickly to transition into McLean. He's saying, Trace, if we punished Marte for struggling and not hitting, why aren't we at least doing something with McLean? Like, can we at least move McLean out of the 2-hole? Matt McLean's going to be an area of conversation right now. Obviously, he gets a day off today. The difference for me between Matt McLean and Noelvi Marte is that Noelvi Marte went a whole half season of absolute bad baseball. He had an entire winter where he went and played in the Dominican League. That was not good at all either. He went to spring training and did not play well either there. So I don't think they punished Noelvi Marte. I just think that he played for an extended period of time and didn't play well, and that was part of the conversation. That's just what happened. So I don't think it's a very good apples-to-apples comparison. But as far as McLean goes, he brings something to the table that even Marte did not bring yet, which is obviously a high-level defensive player. And McLean's a guy I'm just going to ride through this wave that is a little bit rough at times maybe right now. I'm not saying I'm not concerned, Nick. I'm relatively concerned about the swing and miss. I felt like McLean would have really good major league at-bats with guys on second and third with less than 2 outs. He'd find a way to put the ball in play and get guys in more times than not. And that hasn't happened in the last week. It's not really, he's not really done that. But I'm just not at a point yet where I'm like, oh man, let's do something with Matt McLean.
Matt McLean doesn't even have 500 career plate appearances in the big leagues yet. That's how infant he still is in his big league career. I don't know. You look at the StatCast page, it's a lot better than it was in 2023. So I just continue to believe like he's going to come out of this. The strikeouts are up a little bit, but he striked out a lot in 2023. The walks are significantly up. Significantly. I mean, he was in the 39th percentile in walks in 2023. He's up to the 86th percentile now. Like, he's walking a lot more. So I think it'll come. I don't need to move him out of the 2-hole. I don't think that matters all that much. Like, the Reds are playing well. Like, you got to give these guys some rope. Baseball's hard, man. It's hard, especially when you're learning, to be a big leaguer. So I just have Matt McLean's so far down on any of my concerns on this team. I think at the end of the year, his numbers are going to be fine as long as he stays healthy. That's my only concern with him.
It's a fair point. I guess, don't you think sometimes too, like, you are who you are and you got to live with the team that you got? Like, you can only play magical chairs so much in a season to get yourself in a spot where maybe you would have won an extra, how many games, Nick? 1 or 2 games by putting the perfect lineup out there that day, and you get this guy in the lineup when he would have done well and that guy wouldn't have done well. It's like, Matt McLean is one of the core pieces of this team. You want to have a conversation about, I don't know whether or not Jacob Hurtubise or Blake Dunn should be getting spot starts, or have a conversation over whether Trevino should be starting with Stevenson when he comes back, or what you do with wins at times. Those seem like reasonable conversations to have, but it just doesn't seem realistic and reasonable to have a discussion about what you do with Matt McLean, because Matt McLean has to be pretty good for this team to make the postseason. And maybe I'm an idiot for saying that. It's just like, there are core players of this team, and we could obviously all run through them together, but McLean's a part of that group. And if he doesn't play well, I don't think you're going to get away with being able to just sub somebody in there. Giving him a day off from time to time, Nick, sure. You want to give him 2 days off because you have an off day the next day and you want to give him a day off before the off day? Sure. I'm not opposed to it. But, Elly makes an error, and half the chat's telling me that Matt McLain should be playing shortstop. So it's like, I don't know. Half the time I don't know what we're doing, but I guess he's on the rundown, and people are blistering the chat about him. Let's all collectively say that some of these young players are gonna go through stretches of baseball throughout this year that look bad. Nick Lodolo is gonna have a start or two this season that's gonna look really bad, and you're gonna have to tell yourself it's just part of the season. Let's just let it happen and move on. As good as Hunter Green was throwing the ball, Nick, he had a bump in the road too. He's not perfect either. No one's going to be perfect. Matt McLain's going through a little rough patch of baseball right now. We'll let it ride out, see where it goes, and we'll go from here. All right, we have some Reds MILB. We'll jump into Tyler Stevenson, and we'll then obviously do the who, what, when, where, and why. But before we get to all that, of course, we go to the farm. Nick, little Reds MILB on a Sunday night edition, a sweeping Sunday night edition of Chatterbox Reds.
All right, start off with AAA. The Louisville Bats, they fell 6-4 to Iowa. Bats 14-12 on the season. Tyler Stevenson, though, hit his first home run. Is actually his first extra base hit during his rehab assignment. He's just 3 for 17 overall. Reported today that Stevenson is going to continue with the rehab assignment with the Bats in Memphis next week. Jim Day reported that Stevenson told the Reds he still needs more at-bats. Benson hit his 5th home run of the year, 110, 410 feet. Tyler Callahan just 1 for 4, but extended his on-base streak to 23 games. Reese Hines 1 for 4. And then in the bullpen, Zach Maxwell really struggled. He only threw 10 of his 24 pitches for strikes, walked 2 batters in his inning of work. But on the flip side, Luis May absolutely dominated. He threw 7 of his 10 pitches for strikes, struck out 2 batters, looked really good on Sunday. So kind of a crapshoot with those 2 guys right now. All right, down to AA. Chattanooga, they are hot right now. They won 5-0 over Columbus. Lookouts have won 4 straight, now 10-10 on the season. Hector Rodriguez is on fire. He was 3 for 4, hit a home run, and walked. Back-to-back days for Rodriguez with a home run. Has a 12-game hitting streak, hitting .386 with a .992 OPS. Sal Stewart, 2 for 5. Edwin Arroyo, 1 for 5 with a double. And then Jose Acuna, his best start of the season, 5 shutout innings, just gave up 2 hits, no walks, 6 strikeouts, has a 2.25 ERA on the season. Love that he didn't walk anyone because he had come in with 14 walks in his first 19 innings this year. So that's good to see. But he's got 30 strikeouts in 24 innings. Jose Acuna looking really good. High A, the Dayton Dragons, they fell 9-3 to West Michigan. They're now 8-13 on the season. Story of this one, unfortunately, Wade Miley left after just 10 pitches with a lower body injury. Certainly did not look good. Ricky Cabrera 0 for 2 with 2 walks. Carlos Jorge 2 for 5 with a triple. He is playing really well right now. And we got to shout out a guy, Easton Sikorsky. 2 1/3 innings, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts. This is a 14th round pick out of Western Michigan. He has a 0.68 ERA with 19 strikeouts and just 3 walks and 13 1/3 innings pitched. Shout out to my guy Carrick Melvin for pointing out Easton Sikorsky. Remember the name. And then down to low A, the Daytona Tortugas, they won 8-4 over St. Lucie. They're now 10-11 on the season. Alfredo Duno 0 for 4 with a walk. Sammy Stafura also 0 for 4 with a walk, did steal a bag. Carlos Sanchez stays red hot. 2 for 3, double, 2 walks, stole a base, 3 RBIs. He's playing really well for the Tortugas. That is your Reds MILB.
All right. Tyler Stevenson was a part of Reds MILB. He's obviously one of the topics of conversation. Now, I will be honest, Nick, I did not get a chance to see if there's any updates on him, timetable of return, things of that nature, but it seems, is there information out on that? If so, when and where? What are we thinking?
He is going to go with the team to Memphis next week. He told Jim Day told the Reds, I guess Jim Day reported it, that he still needs more at bats. So I guess good. He's honest with them. And so he's going to get some more at bats. They didn't say if he's going to stay the whole series or not. Certainly doesn't feel like they need to rush him back yet, but I also am not going to, act like what's going on with the Reds catching situation is going to keep up. So when Stevens is ready, I'm not hesitating to bring him up, but I'm also certainly not rushing him. But it's really not any different than any other situation. I'm never rushing a guy, especially a catcher. But he did catch. He also did throw out a runner today too.
Yes, he did throw out a runner. I seen that, and I'm with you. It feels like right now it's not it's not necessarily like a huge need for him to come back because you got a couple guys that are playing well enough to seem like they should continue to earn opportunities. But I know that's not how it's going to go. When he says he's ready to go, they're going to bring him back, whether or not those guys are continuing to play well behind the plate and wins in Trevino. Steer is going to make this a little interesting if he continues to play well, but that's a good problem to have. That's a problem that this team hasn't really had a whole lot of. We've had issues the opposite way, right, where guys have struggled and we've done nothing but sit here and complain because they've gotten opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. If it just so happens that guys are playing well and there's just, not enough spots for guys to get equal fair opportunity that we maybe think, that's great news. That's fantastic news. Espinal not playing every single day because other guys are just deemed as being better than he is. For as good as Espinal has been, that's a good problem to have. Might not be totally fair to Espy, but at least we find ourselves in a position that, that's the truth, which is if everybody is genuinely healthy and playing to a level in which we hope that they play at, somebody's not going to play that we might otherwise thought that they would have gotten more opportunity. So I'm not rushing Stevenson back at all. In fact, I would even tell Stevenson at times like, hey, are you okay with maybe, an extra 3 days just to give us some time to try to get our wits about us of what we're going to do. That's why I think as crazy as it sounds, I feel like it's time to figure it out with Candyman. We'll figure it out. We'll find a way, one way or another. And we obviously have more baseball to play. Little who, what, when, where, and why, Nick.
All right, Reds are going to start a 4-game series against the St. Louis Cardinals on Monday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 6:40 starts. Thursday is 12:40. Monday, Nick Martinez against Andre Palante. Tuesday, Brady Singer against Miles Michaelis. Wednesday, Andrew Abbott against Steven Matz. Matz is pitching very well right now. And then Thursday, Hunter Green against Matthew Libator, former top prospect of the Cardinals, also pitching well right now. But the Reds, thankfully, will miss Sonny Gray. Cardinals come in 12-16. They did just win 2 of 3 over the weekend against the Brewers, but they are just 9-16 since they swept their first series of the year. Palante, who the Reds will see on Monday, 6.97 ERA over his last 2 starts, 14 hits and 3 homers in his last 10 and a third innings pitched. However, you might remember he has pitched very well against the Reds, 5-1 with a career 1.83 ERA. Now, a lot of that is in relief, but those numbers are certainly something for Palante. And we'll see how the Reds do against him on Monday night. And then, of course, Nick Martinez coming off a pretty good start his last time out. See if he can capitalize on that. But, yeah, the Reds' overall numbers, 188 as a team against Palante. Only 2 extra base hits against him and 64 at-bats. Fraley and Marte have doubles. It's got to end. It's got to end tomorrow, Trey.
Yeah, yes, it does. And I also feel like it's time for Nick Martinez to throw the ball really, really well as well. So maybe those 2 things will come in play. Who knows? Although Houston brings it up in the chat, and I got to admit, as soon as I seen that it was put out there on the socials that our guy Jose Barrero is going to make his major league appearance with the St. Louis Cardinals. I don't like that at all. I know how this goes typically. I don't want to see I don't want to see any of it. In fact, if we're being honest, That's a great segue into the what we would call the rituals, because without Jose Barrero, I'm not totally sure that the cage pillow ever comes to be a thing.
That is true. I gotta go find it. Hold on.
It's fine.
I'm sick of this stupid pillow.
Yeah, it's
I got away without doing it yesterday. I snuck it past everyone. No one lets me get it.
Well, as Nick finds the pillow, I just want to say thank you very much for supporting this show. If you don't mind, please like the stream if you haven't already. Chat is elite, by the way. The chat is elite. I really do appreciate everybody being in here and talking ball. The chat sometimes goes off the rails from time to time, but the vast majority of the time, it's actually a pretty good, solid baseball chat. Have reasonable discussions, bring up some great points, and it's just nice to see that the Nutcutter Nation is alive and well. And I also say thank you for liking the stream and supporting us in this show. It's a significant amount of people, so don't want you guys to go unnoticed. Thank you to all 400 and plus 1,200 that have chimed in at some point during the show. And hopefully we find a way to entertain you on a nightly basis. And for somehow, some way, I don't know how, Nick, these rituals have come to play.
Yeah.
Let's see it.
Shout out to you, Jose Barrero, and
That's
your
right.
moonshot at Fenway.
That was a bomb. I mean, you're talking about a bomb. That thing was absolutely roasted over the
one of the
green
most
monster.
satisfying, maybe in the top 10 most satisfying home runs to watch.
Yeah, Nick Senzel too.
Yeah,
yeah. Those were kind of very much the same type of home run. They were very much the same type of home run. Maybe, hear me out. Maybe it will be this passing of the baton with Barrero on the field as the same time that Candelario pulls the head out of his you-know-what, and he hits one of the same type of home runs. Is that possible? Can Candelario hit one 490, something like that?
I hope so. I hope he hits a walk-off home run. Just like something good. I'm trying to figure out if Barrero's going to play for the Cardinals. Because Mason Wynn is activated. He just got activated off the IL. He's been playing every day at shortstop. I don't know if they've been playing him anywhere else. They have one of those lineups too, like the Reds, where they don't really have any holes, but they have a lot of holes.
Right, just depends on the day.
Yeah. They've been playing him. They have been playing him in center field. He's played 5 games at third base, 4 games at center field. So their center fielder is Victor Scott, who's a highly rated prospect, but he's kind of been okay. I assume he's not going to take Arenado's spot, so I don't know. I'll be interested. He might just be on the bench. He might get 2 at bats in this series. Is kind of what I'm getting at.
Fair enough. Yeah. Hopefully he does. I actually prefer if he gets none.
Yeah. Yes.
I'd rather someone else do the deal than him. I mean, I get that we get the chance of him being bad. I don't want to see. I just rather I'd rather take away the chance of him being bad than to get the alternative. We shall find out. All right, Chase Wellerman has been a member for 11 months of Nutcutter Nation. Thank you very much. He wants to know really quickly here before we go, Nick, Pacers or Cavs? Pacers or Cavs?
Cavs. Let him know. Come on.
Cleveland guy. Not totally Cleveland guy, but kind of a Cleveland guy. Nick Kirby. I will go with I actually don't watch the NBA nearly enough as I probably used to in the past. I don't know. I'm going to openly say I don't know. I did watch 2 NBA games, one super late last night, which was a blast to watch. Steph Curry doing his thing. And then I watched a great ending of a game today between the Lakers and the Timberwolves. So
I bet unders on NBA games, so I'm not really a whole lot of fun to watch a basketball
Gotcha.
game.
You're just actually rooting for misses the whole time.
Yes.
Yeah. Or shot clock violations. That's what Nick's rooting for in a basketball game. Shot clock
Don't you
violations.
dare rebound that basketball.
Yeah. Just hold it out. Slow it up. Yeah, I've been there. I understand. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, 21 plus in Ohio. Anyway. All right. You know what time it is. It's time for this